So many of you spoke about this fear of rejection and abandonment, and others of you spoke about a feeling of just low self-worth, that no matter how much work you did on yourselves, that it was still coming up for you, and you couldn't find your way home to feeling a self-love and a self-acceptance. And still, there was one woman who was saying that she had metastasized cancer, breast cancer. And for 7 years, she'd been working with it with alternative methods successfully. And her husband had been supporting her through this intense journey that she was on. And 5 weeks ago, unexpectedly, he died. And suddenly, all of her support was totally out of nowhere. He was the one that died. And so she's just swirling in the emotions that are here. And even though she has supportive family, how do you cope with that kind of painful, unexpected tragedy in such a circumstance where you're already coping with cancer? Another woman with rectal cancer was saying that she's done a lot of work with herself and she's actually quite good at forgiving other people, but she still can't get to the root of what the emotional issues are. She feels some sadness, some hurt, how even your most painful emotions can lead you to deep peace and healing in your life. And one of the things that science has found, that when we feel a strong emotion and we repress it, it releases into your bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain cell receptors and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, of course it happens, where the cells are blocked, what's conversely also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very naturally and freely, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so the unfortunate thing is that most of us have fear of feeling our painful emotions. We've gotten very skilled. Feel a strong emotion, come up, smoke it away, drink it away, take substances to get away from it, call a friend, get on Netflix, get on, surf the web. And we're distracting ourselves. We're sweeping it under the carpet. We're reframing ourselves, saying it's not that big a deal. I'll think positively. And whenever we do that, when a strong and painful emotion comes, when we deny it, when we shut it down, when we sweep it under the carpet, distract ourselves from it, what happens is at that moment, when we shut it down, that biochemistry is released. And it goes to specific cellular locations. And before the next cell generation, when that cell generation dies, it actually passes on that programming, that consciousness, the pain you went through, all the words you didn't express, all of that programming gets passed on to the next cell generation. And so the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. So this whole pattern of buried pain, where we didn't have the coping skills, none of us were given a manual. How do you deal with something like your husband dying 5 weeks ago when you're in the midst of struggling with metastasized cancer? How do you deal with that? No one gave us a manual. And the natural tendency is just to shut down. And so these patterns, these old cell memories, this buried pain gets passed on from one cell generation to the next. And very often, then later on in life, it can end up showing up as illness. As a matter of fact, there's 3 hospitals in Israel where they have recovery programs. In one hospital, they specialize in heart disease. And after you've undergone your heart treatment, you go into a recovery center for a week long, and you will go through the journey process where you'll literally go on a journey inside your body to get to certain cellular locations, to get access to these buried cell memories, to go through a deep process of release and letting go and forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old programming. as new regenerative cells. And this is also true. They have one hospital that specializes in oncology, cancer treatment. The journey is a method that takes you on a journey inside your body to get to those cell memories that are stored inside, to clear them out at a physical level, an emotional level, at a spiritual level, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And if I had to say, what is the journey really in a nutshell? The best way I could describe it is to say that we, all of us, come into this world as this radiant, shining diamond, as this vast field of love, where we feel ourselves to be part of and in everything, as an enlightened awareness that's pervading all of existence.